You know what? There's always something I gotta forget. Yeah. Alright, there. And I believe we're up. Good. Alright, so this is Princess Guard Quest, day... I think we're on the 4th day or so. Right before the duel. It's a important part from a gaming standpoint. It introduces the battle concept. Normally in the original version it was dice based, so it was all luck of the roll for if we won or not, which a lot of people were frustrated by, but it's just whatever the mechanic is. Alright, and we left off with the battle system interlude, so let's continue to the sparring match. Ready? Go! The moment that Sylvie gives a signal for the match to begin, a silver blur charges right at me. Suddenly, Nicolette's title of guard captain no longer seems like it's just for show. I haven't seen anyone move this fast since my fight with Montague in the tournament finals. Readying myself, I clear my mind and tighten my grip on my practice sword. Power attack, skill attack, defensive maneuver. And this is where the game starts taking place. It's a customized version of rock, paper, scissors. Now, power attack was straightforward charge. Skill was the defensive one. No, skill was the trickery game. And defensive one was the defensive one. Can't remember if we changed it or not since the last time I played. Might have. I'm curious if you get change that fact though. So I'm gonna try and go for a draw. If any of you here, you got fans? Yeah, not really. I think so. All right, power attack. As you did say, there should be a way to incite to draw from the game. Matching Nicolette's intensity, I dash towards her at full speed. She takes a surprise for a split second, but she's quick to reposition the staff in her hands. My swing meets hers head on, and the sound of our colliding weapons ring throughout the training yard. Struggling to hold back the advance of my sword, Nicolette grits her teeth and uses her staff as a barrier. I just press on though, slowly but surely shrinking the distance between it and her body. Damn it! My grip's holding steady, but the trail of dirt underneath our feet as I force her back is slowly getting longer. Huh? Her footing suddenly crumbles and she stumbles backwards. Crap. Which throws off my balance and sends me falling towards her. In a panic, I pull out my practice sword in front of me. And just as my weapon connects, a sharp hit to my shoulder throws me onto my back. Well, Sylvie just shrugs. We both hit each other at the same time, so I guess you both get the point? Whoa, a draw? Alright, Captain. Just push a little harder next round. While the crowd cheers on their beloved captain, we return to our feet. Fucking hell. You know I would have hit you first if I hadn't slipped on the stupid dirt. Please, I had you dead to rights. If that's what you really think, must have hit the ground. If that's what you really think, then you must have hit the ground harder than I thought. Ignoring Nicolette's taunt, I get back into position. And practically the second I do, she charges at me again. Same fighting speed as before, same movements. She can't possibly be dumb enough to think that I'll fall for it this time, right? Let's see. I'm gonna try and push for the cross, see if it still goes. I take a deep breath and steady my footing. Swinging as hard as I can, I bash Nicolette's staff away. Then I follow through with a counter of my own. This time, though, I'm the one whose strike is beaten back. Nicolette definitely isn't about to make this easy for me. See ya! I could be yelling stuff. We match blow for blow, with neither of us giving the other enough breathing room to manage anything aside from hard blocks or parries. All these constant impacts are starting to kill my hands. I really need to put an end to this. Right as she comes at me with another heavy strike, I dig in deep and let loose with all of my strength. Shit! While Nicolette reels from the impact. Whoa, look out! Her staff flies right out of her hand and directly into the crowd of onlookers. Oh, there's another one! And then my sword does the same. Of all the shit that could possibly happen. Nicolette grumbles to herself while trying to shake the feeling back into her hands. I might have found this funny if the exact same thing didn't just happen to me too. Well, Sylvia looks around like she has no idea what to do. Both opponents were disarmed, so I guess it's another tie. God damn it. Dad seems just as upset about the results of that round as Nicolette is, but at least they're not so angry as since they not return our weapons to us. So, the score is 2-2 now. Next point wins it, so it's still anyone's match. You can do it. I'm not sure who she was directing that at, but I choose to claim those words of encouragement for myself. You ready? Whenever you are. Nicolette immediately dashes off to the side, this time moving even faster than before. Looks like she's trying something different this time around. So much for being able to read her pattern. I did try, one time earlier inside to draw, but it caused a oddity in the programming. I think this was also the end of the demo at the time. I'm so curious as to how it'll go. Let's go attack. Once she's in range, Nicolette goes for a low sweep. Just like I thought, it was a feint. She jukes to the left and spins her staff right around at my head. But I managed to catch it with my sword, scraping my blade along the length of her staff. I continue towards her. Damn it! But just as I get within striking range, she twirls the weapon around in her hand and sends it flying towards me in a direction that I was not sending. Damn it! I made her swing with a frantic one of my own, throwing all my weight into a last-ditch attempt to save myself from getting hit. The impact stings the hell out of my hand and forces my arms into an awkward position. Shit! I'm completely open, but so is Nicolette. I need to make the best of this chance before she takes it from me. It's a cross counter! We stand there, frozen in place, with Nicolette's staff pressing right up against the side of my head and my sword digging into the midsection of her armor. Ugh. God damn it. After the realization finally sets in, we both let our weapon arm drop weapon arms drop to our sides. Great. Now my ears are ringing too. This counts as a point for both Nicolette and Reinhold. We're 3 rounds in now, and the match is tied. Are you sure you two don't want to just call it a draw? Nicolette shakes her head. Absolutely not. Same here. Alright then. So I guess the next point takes the win. Damn straight. Even though Nicolette's practice staff is easily as long as she is tall, she effortlessly twirls it around her fingers as if it was a baton. Clearly playing to the crowd, she continues on with her little show while making her way back to the starting position. Once she's finally had her fill of grandstanding, she assumes a low stance. It's like she's waiting for me to make the first move. Alright. I'm still curious about the draw, so I'm going to keep going with it. But yeah. Apparently it has some later meaning in the story. Now, I'm curious as to how much it'll do. Where, if whatever Nicolette's planning, I assume a defensive stance. Yeah, my patience pays off before long. Tired of waiting for me to take the initiative, Nicolette begins creeping towards me in hopes of getting to that sweet spot where I'm within striking range, but she's still outside of mine. And every time she gets close enough, I backstep to safety. And every time I do that, she just comes right back at me. Alright, even I'm starting to get tired of this. So instead of waiting for Nicolette to try and approach me again, this time I kick off the ground and I launch myself right at her. Shit. Damn it. My attack connected, but hers did too. Cross counter. Point to both Nicolette and Reinhold. Since the score is still even and we're going to the 5th round now, the next one will decide it all. Since I kinda doubt that Nicolette would accept a draw at this point. Sylvie glances over at Nicolette, who simply glares right back at her. Yeah, I thought not. While Sylvie laments her continued role as referee, we head back to our starting positions. Alright, go for it. And in the repeat of the start of the first 2 rounds, Nicolette charges right at me. Alright, the repeat of the first 2 rounds, huh? Let's see. Let's go with that then. Alright, this is it. Sparring with Nicolette has definitely been fun, but we've already gone 4 rounds, and I'd like to end this already. So, as she races towards me, I dig my heels in the ground and center my balance. There's no room for error here. I'm meeting her head on. And I do just that. Pulling every last bit of strength I have left for this last exchange, I match Nicolette's heavy swing with one of my own. And once my bones stop rattling, I feel it. There is no resistance from her staff. I did it! With a wild grin on my face, I rush in. And immediately skid to a halt when I take a look at my sword. Or rather, what's left of it. God damn it. I was so intent on smashing Nicolette's weapon out of the way that I busted my own one to splinters. Way to go, and it's a double weapon break. Huh? Sure enough, Nicolette's holding maybe a quarter of the quarterstaff that she started with. And since both participants' weapons are broken and their point total is still equal, this means... Wait a minute! Nicolette holds up what's left of her staff. Yeah, my staff's busted and so is his sword, but we've got plenty of extra... Absolutely not. Sylvie closes her eyes and shakes her head. You went 5 rounds and it still ended with a draw. You two just need to accept that you're evenly matched. No way, that's some bullshit. You can still go too, can't you, Reinhold? Yeah, I'd be willing to. Hey, Vanderberg, welcome, welcome. See? It doesn't matter. This match is over. If you're gonna stick me with referee duty, then you're also going to heed my rulings. And I'll just get... Sylvie pushes her glasses and stands up completely straight. Somehow she seems a lot more intimidating than before. What did I just say? And suddenly all of Nicholas' defiance vanishes at once. Ugh, fine. While Nicolette rolls her eyes and kicks at the ground like a little kid who just got scolded, Sylvie turns to me. And what about you, Reinhold? No complaints here. Nope, none whatsoever. It has, man. What have you been up to? Life keeps changing and going in different directions for me, while also still remaining the same. It's kind of weird. But yeah, what you been up to? The tie, huh? Well, it may not be the ideal outcome. I can also say that I'm disappointed by it. I also can't say that I'm disappointed by it. And it's actually kind of nice to know that there's someone else here at the castle who's right at my skill level. Congrats, Nicolette. Yeah, I guess. After heaving a sigh, Nicolette shakes my hand. Ties are bullshit, but at least it's better than losing. Yep. And I guess that this means that you're stronger than... She suddenly catches herself and shakes her head. Huh? Stronger than who? Forget it. It doesn't matter. Since the look on her face is telling me not to pry, I'm gonna heed that warning and mind my own business. I guess this means that her bet's off, too. Since neither of us won, I mean. Oh, yeah. You're right. It does suck that I won't be getting that sketch, but I guess I can also be grateful I won't have to lug Nicolette's stuff around either. Sylvie steps between me and Nicolette. What are you talking about? That's not how it works. What are you talking about? In the event of a tie, both parties have to fulfill their losing conditions. Oh, there we go. Turned 18, learned to shotgun cans, planting out a Nerf blaster. It's been good. Oh, that sounds interesting. For me, it's, not much has really all that changed. It's been pretty similar, but I have been going in a few directions. One of them being trying my hand at painting some stuff. This is just the first layer. It ain't done, not by a long shot. But I'm just starting it slow. Getting into sewing plushies as well. I made this by hand. Not a Kuma doll, but it's made entirely wrong. Working at Radio Shack, repairing phones, and planning a trip to Texas to start doing some voice acting classes and the like, and some other such things. So, while not much has really changed, there's a lot of that's about to change for me, which is kind of interesting, but still a ways away. Thank you. Yeah, so now, just for clarification, you said learn to shotgun cans. Does that mean like shooting cans with a shotgun, or some other slang phrase for something I'm unfamiliar with? But yeah, because shooting cans is alright. I did that actually the other week. I think it was last week? The week before, something like that. My aunt and uncle came over here on a trip. They either bought or rented an RV. Can't remember which one. Came up here to see us, as well as drive around and check out some other areas. And we, the whole family got together and was like shooting cans off for target practice and whatnot. Testing out the different guns we had. We had pistols, AR-15s, small little 22 caliber hunting rifle, stuff like that. And then my brother brought out I don't know what it's called, but it's explosives. you mix it all up really well, and then it can only explode if you shoot it with a high-powered rifle or some such, and it explodes. Otherwise, it just kind of falls apart. My uncle really enjoyed that part. Pretty cool. Alright, well, I'm gonna continue on with here, but yeah. So, it's... I always keep getting ahead of myself. Feel free to keep chatting and talking and whatnot. I'm not ignoring you, I'm just trying to continue on with the story as well. Oh, also in a bit more recent news, I happened to completely space out on my Duolingo streak. I had 122 days, and then I just spaced it because I needed a day off, 2 days off, and that streak went down the drain. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just a sign I need to shift how I do some things. On the event. In the event of a tie, both parties have to fulfill their losing conditions. What? Yeah, who the hell agreed to that? Well, that's how my father always does it when he makes bets. And since you roped me into being the referee for this, you're seriously? God damn it. It really doesn't look like we're going to get out of this one. Alright, so that's how it is. Reinhold? Hold still, please. Okay. Though I'm not really sure what the purpose of this is, I stand in place for her like she asked. As she walks a full circle around me like it's uniform inspection day back in the army. What exactly? And now she's mumbling something under her breath while glowing symbols pop up in the air around her. Okay. I never learned the specifics of this stuff, but I do know that it's the visual cue to when someone's casting a spell, shining down upon all who suffer. While continuing to chant, she holds her hands up to where Nicolette hit me with her staff, and delivering unto them this healing grace. A warm blue glow emanates from her hands for a few seconds, and as it fades, so does the ringing in my ear, as well as most of the pain I was feeling. Wow. Thanks, Sylvie. No problem. Avoiding eye contact with me, Sylvie turns to Nicolette. What about you, Nicolette? Are you hurt anywhere? Just my pride. But yeah, that right there was the introduction of how this world incorporates magic. You first have to conceptualize it, and that's when all of the little red rings and whatnot pop up, and you can keep that there as long as you have the spell in mind, and then you say the incantation or whatever, and then it'll activate. And you have to have that red ring of script, otherwise you can't cast magic. So there's no hiding it physically. You can hide it in other ways, but it's obvious. You can't just... That's a rule you can't break, kind of. Yeah, there's specifics, but we'll get to that if we get to that. There's a lot of chatter coming from the still-gathered crowd that's surrounding us. Some are going on about how much money they won or lost, and others are talking about how exciting it was to get a chance to watch me and Nicolette go all out. But then those voices are drowned out by the sound of clapping. Ah, what a delightful show. The crowd parts all at once, revealing a certain butler who I was not expecting to find down here. Ugh. As Arnaud approaches the three of us, Nicolette sighs and shakes her head. Why am I not surprised that she just happened to show up? Let me guess, you couldn't pass up the chance to bet on our fight. You're guilty as charged. Laughing to himself, Arnaud walks over to Nicolette and starts rustling her hair. What? Huh? Congratulations on the admirable performance. come on, cut that out. Whatever might you be referring to? Seriously, I got an image to maintain here. Sorry. Old habits die hard. After getting a couple more headbats in, he does as she says. And now he's laughing to himself while Nicolette stands there blushing like crazy. But I do mean it when I say that that was a wonderful match. You did Nicholas proud. However, both you and Reynolds still have quite a ways to go before you can reach our level. Arnaud pats me on the back and starts towards the exit. What, and now you're just gonna leave after embarrassing me in front of everybody here? No, I'd just prefer to take my leave before the other spectators who's made wagers decide that they don't appreciate the rules of our betting system. Huh? Why wouldn't they? Arnaud takes a deep breath and smirks. Well, you see, in the event that there's a draw and nobody around has the foresight to bet on such an outcome, which is exactly what just happened, mind you, the bookie gets to keep everything. Oh. Wow. I never even considered that. Let me guess, you bet on Reinhold to win since he's a swordsman. Nicolette's mannerisms right now were eerily reminiscent of a certain princess. Well, you did say this was a contest to prove whether the sword or spear was better, didn't you? My pride as a swordsman wouldn't allow me to bet on anything else. But yes, I did just that and lost a week's pay in the process. Wait, what? From how familiar he was acting with Nicolette, I would have thought... And while I have been gambling long enough to understand that there are times when the house takes everything, I very much doubt that all of your subordinates possess that same level of maturity. Like it's even possible for anyone to have the same level of maturity as the only guy I've ever met who's even older than Celestino. As Arnaud heads out, Nicolette lets out a long, exasperated groan. I'm not so nosy as to pry into her personal matters, but it's clear as day that those two are really close. With all the bets sorted out and the fight over and done with, the guards finally begin filtering out of the training yard. That's a sign that I should probably be getting out of here too. I'll see you two tomorrow. Oh, thanks for playing referee. Good night, Nicolette. See you around, Nicolette. With a final parting wave, Nicolette takes her leave. And the only people left around here now are me, Sylvie, and a few stragglers who don't seem to want anything to do with us. And now that I've finally gotten a little bit of quiet time to think, a few questions come to mind. Hey, Sylvie. She jumps a little. What is it? That thing you did earlier with that glowing hands was some kind of healing spell, right? Glowing? Oh, you mean healing grace? Yeah, it's pretty basic level of recovery magic. I thought it'd be enough since the two of you were using practice weapons, but I can try a stronger spell if you need it. Sylvie looks down at the ground and starts fidgeting. I shake my head. No, that isn't it. I just thought that it was interesting to see a spell cast up close that wasn't through scrolls. That's all. And all of a sudden, her eyes light up. I know, right? Even though my father's a strong magic user and most of our friends and family are too, seeing spells cast up close is still so exciting. Well, I actually have, like, 0 experience with magic. If she's that into it, then it can't hurt to ask. So, would you mind explaining the basics to me sometime? Huh? Me? Sylvie's face goes completely pale. But I'm still just a trainee, so I don't... She holds out her hands, closes her eyes, and takes a couple of deep breaths. Well, I don't know how much help I'll be since I just started a few months ago, but I guess I could show you the basics if you really wanted me to. Thanks, that'd be awesome. But only if it's not too much trouble for you, I mean. Oh, you don't have to worry about that. I have plenty of free time. And obviously I'm not trying to ask you to do this right away either. Even if I wanted to, I'm basically on the verge of passing out. I can tell. Yeah, that sparring match took a lot more out of me than I was expecting. So I guess you want to call it a night? Yeah, I probably should do that. Good night, Sylvie. Good night. We both leave the dining hall, parting ways just after entering the hallway. And, since I'm completely worn out from that sparring match, I head straight to my room. Walking up all those stairs after exerting myself this much is kind of hell on my legs, so I pass right out on my bed pretty much immediately. Alright. Sword dueling education and continue to the next day. Hey. But I'm just gonna keep going to the next day. Any of these side interludes you guys can look up on your own if you want. Or you can come chat and bug me if you really want to. There we go. Alright. Oh my god. Everything hurts. So much for that healing spell Sylvie used on me last night. My arms, legs, even my fingers are aching. If I didn't know better, I'd think that someone snuck in my room last night and beat me up while I was sleeping. Damn it. And as if that wasn't enough, I passed out in my uniform. This morning really is shaping up to be wonderful. As I push myself off the bed and take the first few agonizing steps of the day, it's like every muscle in my body begins to creak. The pain does start to dull somewhat as I walk, but the only real relief I have in this is that my current condition didn't get in the way of me waking up on time. Being late and having to suffer the wrath of Princess Marianne on top of everything else would just be too much to bear. No, why didn't I think it was a good idea to do shoulder searches now? It hurts even more. Man, I bet those hot springs that she used to go on and on about would be perfect at a time like this. Back when I was little, a certain someone who I was close to used to spend whatever free time she had telling me stories about the country that she came from. And out of all the things that she missed from there, its hot springs would probably take the top spot. Funny that one of the few pleasant childhood memories I have would come to mind when I'm feeling like absolute hell. Come to think of it, I do happen to have access to a source of hot running water over there in my wonderfully furnished personal bathroom. It may not quite be on the same level as natural outdoor springs, but I think I can make do. This is heaven. Leaning my head back, I rested against the edge of the bathtub and just take it all in. Everything, aside from my face, is submerged in soapy water that's as hot as I could make it without scalding myself, and it feels amazing. Practically the second I stepped in here, all of my muscles' soreness began to melt away. And, as a side benefit, the steam that's filling the room as a result of burning the hot water has completely cleared out my sinuses. If I could, I'd do this every single day. Because it's freaking fantastic. I didn't think that it was possible for me to be any more amazed about having hot running water, but I am definitely happy to have been proven wrong. The water cools down to room temperature after about an hour or so of soaking, which I take as a sign that it's time for me to finally get out. I do still have some lingering soreness left, but now it's down to the level of minor annoyance instead of the pressing issue it was when I first woke up. As such, I suck it up, throw on a fresh uniform, and head on out the door. Thanks to all the exploring and map copying that I've done over the past few days, I now have a pretty good idea of the layout of this general area of the castle. And that means that it's time for me to start exploring a different part. Looking back on the ones that I have yet to visit, I think the map listed an infirmary over the southern wing. That seems as good a place as any to begin. Starting down a nearby stairwell, I traversed a couple of long hallways and passed by several libraries before finally reaching unfamiliar territory. The idea of having a bunch of smaller, separated libraries scattered all over instead of just a single central one is something that I still don't understand. And now that I'm thinking about it, having to keep track of so many books over such a wide area must be a real pain for Gerhard. I wonder if it's around this corner? No! What? My swordsman instincts kick in, and I leaped aside just in time to narrowly avoid crashing right into an oncoming maid. But even though I avoided the collision, she still ends up falling over from the sudden shock of my popping up out of nowhere. Crap. Sorry about that. I reach out to help her back to her feet, as well as finally get a good look at the face of the person who I just spooked. And of course, it's Melanie. And after she gets done adjusting her glasses and dusting herself off, I hand her back the clipboard that she just dropped. Here you go. Thank you. It wouldn't be good if I lost these. And I guess I just need to accept the fact that you're always going to appear in strange places to startle me. I really am sorry about that. I wasn't even expecting to find you around here. That's okay, it's not like I was hurt. After taking a few seconds to flip through the sheets of paper that are attached to her clipboard, she turns back to face me. Is something missing? No, they're all accounted for. She taps the clipboard with her knuckles. But, well, we're rather far away from both your room and the dining area. You wouldn't happen to have gotten turned around along the way, would you? Nah. I shake my head. I was just trying to explore the castle for a bit before reporting to the princess. Ah, I see. So, you wouldn't happen to have any suggestions for places that might be interesting to check out around here, would you? Huh? You're asking me for suggestions? A flustered maid darts her gaze all around us. Well, Mr. Nicholas's studies in the hallway, along with the library that contains his research materials, and the infirmary is a bit further off if you happen to have any business there. Oh yeah, the infirmary. That was kind of the entire reason I came to this part of the castle to begin with. But while I definitely would like to do something about my aching muscles, that name that Melly just mentioned sounds kind of familiar. Could you tell me some more about this Nicholas person? I know I've heard that name before, but I can't quite place where. Oh, of course. Melanie takes a moment to adjust her glasses. Archmage Niklaus Fischer is the kingdom's chief court mage as well as the head of magical research. It almost sounds like she's reading that out of an encyclopedia. Well, head of magical research may be one of his titles, but the truth is that he's the only magical researcher we have. Oh, I didn't know we had it that bad. Please don't get me wrong, Mr. Nicholas is more than capable in his field. And as far as skill goes, he's probably better than an entire team's worth of researchers. It's just that his personality is kind of, well... Melanie breathes a particularly heavy sigh. She says that... What, is he a jerk or something? It's not like that, he's just... Never mind. She shakes her head. He's definitely odd, but I doubt that you'd have any issues with him, Mr. Reinhold. Melanie then fishes a pocket watch out of her apron pocket and glances at it. Oh, it's later than I thought. I really need to get going. Sorry for holding you up. No, I'll be fine if I leave right now. See you later, Mr. Reinhold. After doing a quick bow, she hurries off with her clipboard in tow. Head to the Archmage's study, head to the dining hall, head to the infirmary. Any of you guys in here, feel free to make a vote. But yeah, Nicholas, he's an interesting character. He's... How do you describe Nicholas? He values research above most everything else, at the expense of his own social knowledge, I guess is one way to put it. But in the original story, the original quest we played in, we became decent friends with Mr. Niklaus, and actually went down a kind of a fascinating side quest along the way when we were doing so. And it led to some people coming up with a new waifu to fight over, but that wasn't going to happen. It was blatantly said so, and everybody knew it. But that didn't stop people from still trying. Anywho. Alright, so I'm gonna go to the Archmage study. A couple other ones lead to different things, but you guys just gotta see Niklaus. Oh yeah, especially his intro scene. The Archmage's study. That sounds way too interesting to pass up. And since Melanie did say that it's just down this hallway, it's not like I'd be risking getting lost if I checked it out. Yeah, might as well. Looks like this is it. Standing in front of me is a massive door that seems almost like it's keeping something dangerous sealed away. But since I'm here, I might as well go on inside. Doesn't finish it, huh? Alright. Whoa. Even though both normal light fixtures and weird glowing things that don't seem like they should be glowing are scattered everywhere I look, this place still seems really dark. Dark and creepy. And the absurd number of books strewn about and covering basically every flat surface in sight definitely aren't helping to ease that sentiment any. Upon a closer look, there's all sorts of stuff littered amongst the reading material too. Random notes that were just dropped wherever, strange flasks and beakers. And next to one of the shelves is a huge arrangement of... Wait a minute. Is that a dragon skeleton? That's definitely a pair of horns coming out of the skull, but there's no way... You absolutely must know, it's just a reproduction. With my hair standing on end, I slowly turn in the direction of that voice. That came from above me. And sure enough, there really is someone up there. Just floating in the air like it's the most natural thing in the world. Human male, late teens. The man gracefully lands on his feet and immediately begins pacing around me. Situational awareness and posture suggests a familiarity with combat in some form. A sword attached to the belt and calluses on his hands imply some weapon proficiency. Speaking of which, there seems to be a noticeable amount of lingering fatigue. You've recently been in a combat situation, yes? I was in a sparring match yesterday. This guy is freaking me right out. Yes, that could indeed lead to your current physical state. A massive amount of glowing symbols flicker into existence around this strange man, while he mutters something under his breath at a volume too low for me to make out. Moments later, they all vanish in unison, and suddenly I feel more rested than I ever have. What did you just... Consider this a freebie, unknown intruder. Now would you mind identifying yourself? Now he asks who I am? I'm Reinhold, Princess Marianne's new bodyguard. That would make sense. He repeatedly nods to himself. I approve. Thank you? Huh. Common etiquette slipped my mind for a moment there. I am Niklaus Shutu, holder of the title of Archmage of the Kingdom of Grenache. As such, this study is my sanctuary, and everything within it serves to further my own pursuits. So long as they also serve those of the crown, I suppose. This guy is indeed every bit as strange as Melanie implied. Maybe stranger. By your presence here, I assume that you have some sort of business with me? He adjusts his glasses and somehow the light reflected shines directly in my eyes. No, I was just kind of exploring your castle. it was simple curiosity that brought you here then? I guess? Sadly, I have more urgent matters to attend to. Perhaps some other time. And then he wanders off while muttering something to himself. I'm gonna take that to mean I should I messed that up. I'm gonna take that to mean that I should make myself scarce soon, too. Well, that certainly was an experience. But even though Nikolaus definitely was a weirdo, I do appreciate whatever spell it was that he cast to get rid of my soreness. And since he was nice enough to do that without me even asking him to, it's clear that he's not all that bad. I must have caught him at a bad time. And now that I'm back in proper working order, there isn't really anything else keeping me around here. Guess I'll head back to familiar territory. After doing a couple of laps around the part of the castle that I'm actually familiar with, I make my way down to the dining hall. I don't have too long to wait before the sound of chattering maids reaches my ears, along with the familiar visage of Princess Marianne. Good morning, Your Highness. I'm surprised that you actually remembered what I told you yesterday morning. Anything to stay on your good side, Princess. Though a couple of the maids start giggling, the princess seems unamused. Now if you've had enough joking around. Moving ahead of her maid entourage, the princess makes her way into the dining hall. The maids seem to be a lot livelier than usual this morning, but they do seem to have calmed down at least a little by the time we reach the table. Ask the ladies what's going on, sit quietly and mind my own business. Nikolaus is a character. He's even got, technically, his own side story going that takes place after the events of this game conclude. He's got, it's his own little short story that took place afterwards. Can't go into details on it because it has a few spoilers, I'd imagine. Oh, but yeah, it's an interesting one too. Just conceptually wise, at the very least. But Nikolaus is a character that'll probably get brought up a few more times in the course of the story, depending on what routes we take. Now that I think about it, I don't know what it'd be like if we just didn't befriend him and just like ignored him. I don't know. This game apparently is supposed to have a lot of different options for you to go through. Some of them are forced, most of them are not though. But anyway, getting back to it, we'll go with sit quietly and mind my own business. Rather than having calmed down, it's more likely shifted from outright giddy to simply being excited. Even Princess Marianne seems to be more energetic than usual, responding to the questions that she's been being asked in a manner that's frightening close to being upbeat. And since there is no way in hell that she, of all people, could ever just happen to be in so good a mood, there's got to be some reason for it. But what exactly is that Oh, I'm an idiot. Even though there was that huge mess with the border guard captain yesterday, I somehow forgot what it all started over. Namely, the messenger from Arsenetti. A messenger who came here to inform everyone that a guest would be arriving today. A guest who just so happens to be Princess Marianne's best friend. Of course she'd be in a good mood about that. Not too long after I get done berating myself over my absent-mindedness, Margot and a couple of butlers roll into the dining hall with a food cart. My nose is assaulted with the most delicious aroma the second they lift the covers from off our plates. And as they set my breakfast in front of me, it takes everything I've got to keep from drooling all over the place. Actually seeing what's on it causes my mouth to water even more. A surprising variety of muffins. blueberry, cinnamon. Even the standard type corn muffins are piping hot, smelling as delicious as everything else I've had since coming here to the castle. I just want to tear into them all until there's nothing left. But thankfully, I somehow managed to hold back my gluttonous instincts. Instead, I picked them off one by one, fully savoring their sweet, starchy flavor and their lovely aroma and the way they just seemed to melt in my mouth before moving on to the next. Of course, even with me taking the time to approach each one individually, I still find myself only eating at a normal-ish pace. Someone just knocked on the... Oh, it's Arnaud. Good morning, Your Highness. Sorry to interrupt your breakfast, but I'm sure you'd want to be the first to know about the arrival of Luciana's carriage. Her eyes light up upon hearing this news. Thank you, Arnaud. We'll be with you shortly. After scarfing down the rest of the muffin that she'd been eating, the princess cleans her hands off with a napkin and hops up from her seat. We then join the waiting Arnaud, who escorts us to the castle gate. Oh, hey, there's Nicolette. And she's standing next to a plain-looking carriage. I guess that's... The carriage itself isn't anything out of the ordinary, but it looks like it's drawn by, llamas. Two massive, pitch-black llamas. I know they use those things for more than just wood and milk in other countries, but I never would have expected to see them pulling carriages, too. I mean, Behemoths do the job just fine, and... Setting aside my culture shock for now, I watch on as Nicolette opens the carriage door and steps aside so that its passenger connects it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of anxious to see what this foreign princess looks like. And that's not a princess. Montague Gilbolt. Clearly even less excited about this unexpected surprise than I am. Nicolette grits her teeth and watches Montague turn around to help someone else down. Slender fingers wrapped in a pure white glove peek out of the open carriage, carefully gripping onto the doorframe as their owner steps into view. Wow. She's, extremely pretty. And when you take into account the way that her wavy red hair is contrasting with the white of her dress, as well as how the jewels in her choker and gloves look like they were chosen specifically to match the color of her eyes that are sparkling in the morning sunlight. Damn it, me. Stop gawking. Anyways, she definitely seems like the genuine article, though the general mood about her is worlds apart from that of Princess Marianne. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby announce the arrival of Grenache, Castle of the Fourth Princess of the Kingdom of Marcinetti, Luciana Violetta di Marcinetti. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction, Mr. Gilbolt. Even though Montague clearly put his all into that flamboyant declaration, Princess Marianne doesn't seem the slightest bit impressed. Instead, she just strolls over the carriage while paying him absolutely no mind. Marianne! As Princess Luciana races towards her friend, the sheer length of her dress makes it look like she's floating. Oh, I've missed you so much. I've missed you as well. Having completely abandoned any attempt at maintaining the stern facade that she's held up all this time, the smiling Princess Marianne exchanges a warm embrace with her best friend. Watching a scene like this brings a smile to my face. At least up until I notice a certain someone glaring at me. Way to spoil the moment. But now isn't the time to be getting provoked into doing anything stupid. Like hell I'm gonna let this moron ruin the princess's happy reunion with her best friend in the world. So instead of reacting to Montague's pissy mood, I just continue to stand guard like usual. And maybe I kind of lose out the urge to wink at him. The fact that he's now trembling in anger more than shows that he did in fact notice my gesture. But that's pretty much the only reaction I get out of him. That's satisfying enough, I think. My, My. I do believe that you've somehow gotten even prettier since the last time I've seen you, Marianne. Why, I dare say that you're now the spitting image of your mother. Huh? That's... It looks like flattery from her best friend, something that Princess Marianne isn't able to deflect as easily as the usual compliments. Despite her best efforts not to let it show, her complexion is decidedly rosier than usual. I don't know how accurate your statement is, but I do appreciate the sentiment. You're just as shy as ever. So, how have you been doing since the last time you wrote me? You know how much I worry about you. I've been well, though the past few days have been interesting. She glances back at me, and then at Montague. And taxing. Very taxing. Oh, is that so? And now Princess Louisiana is the one who turns my way, scanning my face with her piercing green eyes. And who exactly might this dashing young gentleman be? He's every bit as handsome as Mr. Gilbalt, albeit in a slightly different way. That last part is paired with a flirty little wave of her fingers. Oh, him? She glances at me out of the corner of her eye. He's just my new bodyguard. Don't get your hopes up, though. He's rather ill-mannered. Oh, really? Well, if he's able to keep up with you, then I'm sure he can't be that bad. Princess Luciana then waves at Montague and walks right up to me. Good morning. I am Princess Luciana Violetta di Marcinetti, and it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. As she extends her hand to me, her lips curl into a sly smile. Kiss the lady's hand. Don't kiss the lady's hand. And then more odd little things like this. Yeah. He often does like having just oddly benign choices. Like, why is this a choice in the first place? But it is. This one starts getting flags ready for Princess Luciana route. In case you couldn't tell, Luciana is a romanceable option in the game, as is many of the main women in the story. You can't pick them up by now. I don't know. They're pretty obvious, but I'll let that stay. Let's see. Again, the keyboard. Cool. Kiss the lady's hand, and don't kiss the lady's hand. Alright. I'm not remembering right. I think it's this one. Nope, wrong button. For whatever reason, I knew that the proper protocol for a situation like this was long before I began sitting in on Princess Marianne's etiquette lessons. But even so, it just doesn't feel right to actually follow through with it. I mean, I'm not sure how Princess Marianne would react if I actually went and kissed her friend's hand in front of her. So instead, I clasped both my hands around Princess Luciana's and gave her a proper formal handshake, like I was taught that you're supposed to do with ladies. My name is Reinhold. It's an honor to make your acquaintance, Princess. Princess Luciana seems almost taken aback. Princess Marianne has a smile with clear satisfaction on her face. I'm going to assume that I did the right thing after all. You certainly are a tougher sort than I was expecting. But no matter, I enjoy a challenge. As we separate our hands, I notice that someone is now standing next to the foreign princess. Just a man. Standing at about my height, this new mystery man has a stern look in his eyes and long black hair that's tied back. His manner of clothing is a second reminder I've had today of someone I used to know. I'm not sure what country it's from, but it's definitely foreign. I do know what type of sword it is that's sitting in his belt, though. An eastern blade called a katana. By the way, the author is an absolute weeb, through and through. So he has, in this fictional world, a not Japan nation, which he comes from. Oh. Princess Luciana snaps her fingers. How rude of me. I still haven't introduced my current bodyguard. With a cheerful smile on her face, she pats the large man on his upper arm. This cheerful gentleman's name is Takamaru. Hello. He bows to us. King Celestino has hired me to protect his daughter. I'm sure you've heard about how my father's been on a bit of an eastern kick lately. And as you can see, he even went so far as to make sure that my next bodyguard was from that region after the previous fellow's shift came to an end. Not that I'm complaining, of course. Takamaru here may be somewhat of the boring side, but he's starting to grow on me. I see. Princess Marianne stares at the foreign bodyguard as if he was from another world. Fortunately, she catches herself before things get too awkward. It's nice to meet you, Takamaru. I thank you for looking after my friend. I am only performing the duty that I was hired to do. I wonder if this is the first time encountering someone even more serious than she is. Manly, isn't he? I suppose. Though I have to admit that he's not quite as handsome as Mr. Gilbo. Are you, Mr. Reynold? Ignoring the hateful glare that Montague's hitting me with right now, I return to my place beside the princess. Along the way, I nod to Takamaru, and my fellow bodyguard is kind enough to return the gesture. Well, I would love nothing more than to just stand here and catch up with you. I should probably get around to the matter that brought me here in the first place. Yes, I suppose so. Perhaps we'll be able to talk more after you finish with your business. That would definitely be nice. Once the guards have unloaded all of the luggage from the carriage and carted it off, Nicolette approaches us and motions towards the doorway. Everything's ready for you now, Luciana. Thank you so much, Nicolette. She meets Nicolette with a smile that's every bit as bright as the one that she had when she first saw Princess Marianne. I can't believe that you've already been promoted all the way to guard captain. I mean, it seems like just yesterday that you were a new recruit. Princess Luciana's flattery looks to be 100% effective on Nicolette. It took a shit ton of hard work and guts to get this far, but I still have a long ways to go before I make knight. Pshaw, you don't have to be so modest around me. Laughing, she taps her knuckle against Nicolette's armor. And as a matter of fact, I've already bet Uncle Guillaume that you'll reach your goal within the next year. I don't know how likely that is to happen, but it'd sure be nice. Hey, wait a minute! With an angry glare, Nicolette points at Arnaud, who I honestly forgot was standing behind me this entire time. What the hell? You bet against me again? Huh? Again? She darts her gaze between Nicolette and Arnaud. There was a sparring match last night, and never mind that, old man. Quit trying to change the subject. Now, please calm down. He holds up his hands and shakes his head. I wasn't betting against you at all. Neither of us has any doubt that you'll achieve your goal. Our wager was pertaining to when it happens, and that's all. Oh. Okay then. After taking several calming breaths, Nicolette turns to the red-haired princess. Anyways, we should probably get going before they start wondering where you are. Yes, I suppose so. The sound of Montague loudly clearing his throat draws all eyes to him. Actually, Miss Nicolette, I believe that it would be more appropriate if I was the one to escort Princess Luciana to the king. With a smug look on his stupid face, Montague positions himself directly between Nicolette and Princess Luciana. I've escorted her this far, after all. Wouldn't it only make sense that I see her all the way to her destination? Actually, Miss Montague, as the only royal guard captain present, it's my responsibility to escort important guests like Luciana to where they need to be. Come on, not this shit again. Interfere, let it play out on its own. Alright, again, I can't quite remember what the correct response for this one is, but interfere or let it play out on its own. I guess you couldn't tell. Montague is just going to be kind of a dick the whole way through the game. He's just going to be that guy you love to hate. And he does a pretty good job of that. There's even a later part in the story that quite frankly caused a lot of grief from the original story about what happened and how it happened and why, and that wasn't right, that wasn't fair, you didn't play nice, stuff like that from the author. It was all bullshit, but yeah, there's at least a smidge of truth to how some of it played out. But even still, it is what it is. But anyway, let's play it out. Play it out on its own. I think we've done the interfere one before, so I'm gonna let it play out. Nope, not this time. I already handled this exact situation yesterday morning, and I do not have it in me to get involved in this garbage 2 days in a row. Oh dear. But I guess Princess Luciana does? Mr. Gilbolt? Montague's hateful expression instantly melts into a cool smile as he turns to face the foreign princess. What is it, Your Highness? Please believe me when I say that I fully understand and appreciate your strong desire to see that I safely reach my destination. Of course. I have more than enough experience with this kind of thing to tell that Princess Luciana is pouring on the charm something fierce. And while I'm pretty much numb to those kinds of blatant appeals, it looks like Montague has no such defenses. But you see, wow, she's like a master at this. Puppy dog eyes and everything. Nicolette and I have been very close all our lives. My mother and her father are siblings, and the two of us share a similar relationship. Wait, really? Is that so? And now he looks pretty much horrified. Yes. But due to our positions, I see her even less frequently nowadays than I do my dear friend Marianne. That certainly is a shame. So I'm sure that such a charming, sensitive gentleman as yourself would understand how I feel, yes? Unable to look her in the eyes any longer, and with his face beat red, Montague starts fake coughing as a blatant ploy at not having to face her directly. Fully and completely, Your Highness. Captain Miguel, please make sure that Princess Luciana is taken to the king as quickly as possible. Yeah, sure. Whatever. However, I do request that I be the one who is allowed to escort her back to the border when it's time for her to return home. Oh, I couldn't imagine otherwise. While Montague stumbles off towards the gate with a goofy grin on his face, Nicolette, Princess Luciana, and Takamaru disappear through a nearby door. That certainly was a scene, wasn't it? It certainly was something. She seems especially annoyed at that little display. I swear, I have no idea where that girl learned how to manipulate people like that. I know it wasn't from Celestino, and I can't see little Lisette pulling off a stunt like that any more than I can imagine you doing such a thing, Princess. It's just something that comes from knowing how to tell people exactly what they want to hear, as well as the total lack of shame. But while I would much prefer to continue this line of conversation, I do have classes to be getting to. Of course. Until next time, Princess. Navigating the winding castle corridors, we eventually reach the room that we've gone to after breakfast pretty much every day now. And holding the door open for the princess, I follow her inside, where I am met with the scowling face of Sir Gregory. Not really surprising, but still kind of startling, especially since he seems even unhappier than usual. Good morning, Sir Gregory. Yeah, good morning. At least someone here is having a good time. Did something happen? He lets out a long groan. All that garbage concerning Luciana's carriage and the moron from the border guard has had me busy from the moment I stepped into the castle this morning. What? I thought that it was Nicolette's job to take care of all of that. No, not you. She actually seems surprised to hear him say that. It is, but I'm sure that you know by now that her bullshit becomes my bullshit, and... He stops himself and shakes his head. Never mind. Let's just get on with today's lecture. Then he begins a long speech about economics. I try my best to pay attention, but that stuff's about as far from my expertise as it gets, so it gets... I'm having a lot of stumbles today. I try my best to pay attention, but that stuff's about as far from my expertise as it gets, so my ears just kind of stop registering it before long. After about an hour of talking, or maybe 2, Sir Gregory finishes up and Princess Marianne takes that as her cue to leave. Goodbye. See you later, Sir Gregory. Reinhold, hold up a minute. He stops me just as I'm about to step into the hallway. That Gilbolt kid, he didn't try pulling anything stupid again, did he? I shrug. It was pretty much the same thing as yesterday, minus the insulting people's mothers part. Really now? Yeah. And now he's looking at me like he expects a full report of what happened. So I guess I'll do just that. Things were actually going pretty well up until he started demanding that he be the one to escort Princess Luciane to the king instead of Nicolette, and... What? His eyes grow wide. They didn't actually. I throw up my hands. No, it all turned out alright in the end. Princess Luciane was able to convince him to back off before another fight broke out. Oh. Okay then. He almost seems disappointed to hear that. As long as that idiot didn't run his mouth again, I guess I can ignore it. Thanks for filling me in. Anytime. After saying goodbye to Sir Gregory a second time, I follow the princess to her next class. I was expecting that she'd have dance lessons next, or maybe another trip to the library, but instead we end up looping back around to the dining hall. And then that one super ancient looking butler who handles her etiquette classes comes in not too long after us. I guess they decided to switch up the order of things today for whatever reason. Today's lesson concerns the perils of napkin placement, what kind of flower is appropriate to wear at what occasion, the proper manner in which to laugh in a public setting, and several other useless minutiae of politeness. It's pointless, stupid, and mind-numbingly boring, but somehow I actually managed to force myself to pay attention throughout, just like a true gentleman would. Or so they'd like me to believe, anyways. I just find all this stuff to be needlessly obsessive. After hours of boring lectures, the courtyard really is a sight for sore eyes. Though I'm going to assume that the uncharacteristic smile on Princess Marianne's face as we walk in isn't because she's excited to see the garden. Comment on the princess's improved move. Wait for our tea to arrive. Alright, but yeah, it's that ancient butler. Just a stupid amount of minutia that people worry about. The more stuff you have to keep track of, the less you pay attention to anything else. It's weird. It's similar to, like, I'm pretty sure it's at least just America that has it, but the TSA, Internal Security America, something like that, whatever. Since there was one thing where somebody came onto a plane with a mixture of benign materials that you put them together and it makes an explosive or something, we can't take on water bottles or any liquids onto the plane. So, like, the airport guys have been tested over and over with, like, fake bombs and fake things to see if they would catch any of it. They did not. I think they missed out on every single one, except for maybe one. And even some of the test explosives, the bags were caught up. Hold up, we got something. They search around, pull out the water bottle, and then let the explosive on through. So the entire security thermal thing is entirely pointless because they're so focused on you can't have it has to be 4 inches long for a knife. You can't have a water bottle. You can't do this. You have to take your shoes off. You have to put this on the right side. They're focusing on things that don't matter. Just seem important. Whatever. It is what it is, and it's the biggest reason I don't like going by plane anymore. That and the length of the trip, depending on where I'm going. Anyway, comment on the moves that Princess's improved mood. You seem to be in a better mood than usual. Damn it, why did I open my stupid mouth? Yes, I suppose that I am. Oh, thank God. These past few months have been especially taxing, and Luciana's arrival is one of the few things that happened lately that I can actually be thankful for. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, about things being rough for you lately, not Princess Lucy. There's no need to try and clarify yourself. I fully understood what you were trying to say. Wow, she must be in a really good mood. That was a perfect opportunity for a snide remark, and she didn't even take it. However, your concern is unnecessary. What's happened has long since passed, and I'm trying to put it behind me. I saw her usual scowl come back for a second there. And needless to say, I am very happy to be able to see Luciana again. Even if she's only here for a short time, it really is nice to have another friend around. Another friend? Not to say that Melanie hasn't also been a tremendous help, of course. But I fear that I've been relying on her far more than I should as of late. Princess Marianne's eyes become clouded with guilt. And due to the unequal nature of our relationship, she's never once complained about how I'm constantly burdening her with my own personal issues. I think that's more because of her personality than anything. I mean, I haven't even known her for a week, and she's still been going out of her way to help me with every little thing that I might need. And since I'm sure that you two have known each other for a lot longer than that, she's staring at me like I've just said something absurd, but I keep on talking anyways. Some people just like to help, you know? Perhaps. And if you're still not sure, I can always ask her for it. That won't be necessary. And there's the Princess Marianne that I know. But even taking my lasting concerns into account, I'm still feeling better today than I have in a very long time. Well, I hope that good mood continues. I very much doubt it will, but that won't keep me from hoping so as well. After a short while, Arnaud joins us in the courtyard. And as usual, he's balancing an entire tea set on one hand. Now that I've watched him do this day after day, there's no longer any doubt in my mind that he's just showing off. Bowing to the princess, he places the tea set on the table and gets right to work preparing a cup for her. The castle really is livelier with Luciana around, isn't it? Yes, this is a welcome change from the usual pace. As is the sign of you with an actual smile on your face, princess. It suits you well. Meeting her smile with one of his own, Arnaud hands her a teacup and saucer. Thank you, Arnaud. And here's one for you, Reinhold. Thanks. After making sure that the two of us are all set with things, Arnaud takes his leave. The remainder of our afternoon tea time is spent peacefully, with neither of us particularly interested in starting a conversation. Instead, we just enjoy the peace and quiet while drinking our tea. Sadly, this pleasant interlude comes to an end when the last of the contents of the teapot are finished off. And, after placing everything back on the tray that Arnaud left, the princess rises from her seat. Let's go. She glances at me. My next class is one I haven't had since before you arrived here, so do try to keep up with me. The last thing we need is for you to end up getting lost somewhere. Will do, princess. Ah, it really was too good to last. Nope. Keep pushing the wrong button. As we're exiting the courtyard, I'm alerted to the sound of footsteps quickly approaching us. From the way they're clacking against the tiled floor, it's definitely someone wearing heels. Melanie? Princess Marianne sounds just as surprised to see her as I am. Good afternoon, Princess. Mr. Reinhold, you seem to have been in a real hurry to find me. Did something happen? Yes, actually. Please excuse me for a moment. Melanie takes a few minutes to catch her breath. From how hard she's panting, she must have been running for a pretty long distance. I've just gotten word that Princess Luciana has already finished her meeting with the king. What? They really finished that quickly? Yes, it appears that their meeting was a short one. And since I thought you'd want to know about that as soon as possible, I ran all the way here. I believe she's still in the waiting room if you want to see her right away. I most certainly do. Would you mind informing the rest of my tutors that I won't be showing up to their classes today? Somehow I was expecting you to ask me to do that. No worries though, I'll get to it right away. Thank you for always looking out for me like this, Melanie. I really appreciate it. I'm just happy to be of help, Your Highness. With a quick bow and a bright smile, Melanie hurries off to take care of what she was asked to do. And once she's out of sight, the two of us get moving again as well. The princess leads me through the labyrinth halls of the castle at a surprisingly brisk pace, even cutting through several rooms as shortcuts along the way. And as a result, it's not long before I no longer have any idea where exactly we are. Huh? Wait a minute. Is that Sylvie? And I'm pretty sure that's Sir Vincent who she's with too. His face might be obscured by the massive stack of books that he's carrying, but I don't know anyone else around here who's quite that huge. Good afternoon, Princess. You too, Reinhold. Good afternoon. Hey, Sylvie. Hey, Sir Vincent. What? He lowers the stack of books enough that his eyes are peeking over the top. Oh, so it is you two. Long time no see. Please, it's only been a couple of days. Sir Vincent? What's with the, I point to his cargo. I was also wondering about that. Oh, these? Sylvie needed to take them back to the library, and I figured that it'd be easier for me to just carry them all there in one go, instead of making her do multiple trips back and forth there herself. And now I have to act as his eye so he doesn't run anyone over. She seems even more embarrassed than usual. Psh, I could do this blindfolded and you know it. His deep laughter rumbles throughout the hallway. So, how are you handling your new job? I hope it hasn't been too rough on you. It hasn't been too hard, too bad. Thanks to everyone who's been helping me out. Glad to hear it. Not to mention that I've got my own personal room with an attached bathroom and actual hot running water. Because it cannot be stressed just how amazing that is. Yeah, I bet that's a far cry from the army barracks. With a rumbling, hearty laugh, Sir Vincent nudges my arm with his elbow and almost knocks me right over. Yeah, it really is. Takes me a few seconds to massage out the pain from my arm. Whoops, I recognize that look. You're in a hurry, aren't you? You could say that, yes. Then I guess we ought to take you two back to wherever it was you were going. Sylvie? Goodbye, Princess. You too, Reinhold. See you later. See ya. After taking a few more backroom shortcuts, we finally stop in front of the room where I met up with the princess on my first day here. Wrong button again. So this is the greeting room? Of course it is. Rolling her eyes at me, she approaches the door. Anyways, let's enter. Aye aye. I open the door for her and follow her inside. There, we find Princess Luciana sitting at a table while happily sipping tea. Huh, Marianne. Noticing our arrival, she places her cup on its saucer and waves to us. I see that you went so far as to ditch your lessons just to see me. Though perhaps I should feel guilty about contributing to your delinquency. Please. With an amused smirk on her face, Princess Marianne walks over to the table and takes a seat next to her friend. Following Takamaru's example, I take position opposite him. Oh, and the dashing Mr. Reinhold here as well? She waves at me. Just doing my best to keep up with your friend here, Princess. Oh my. Princess Marianne seems every bit annoyed as my little comment as Princess Luciana is amused. Marianne, you certainly know how to pick them. The father is the one to blame, not me. Speaking of whom, why did your meeting with him take so little time? I was expecting it to last until nightfall at the very earliest. I was actually wondering the same thing. Yes, well, he was just extremely quick to come to a decision. That's all. I almost feel insulted. Princess Luciana leans back in her chair in a decidedly and princessly-like manner, and lets out a loud groan. Sure you do. But since it would be a waste to leave so soon after coming all the way out here, I think I'll be staying an extra day or two. I certainly won't be complaining if you do. Please, Marianne, that goes without saying. Yes, yes. But before I move on to anything else, would you mind telling me what exactly you were sent here to speak to my father about? Always were the serious one. Letting out a small sigh, she takes a sip of tea. But you're sure to find out about it anyway, so I guess there's no harm in telling you now. Did it have to do with some sort of bad news? She taps her finger against the porcelain cup. Bad for me, I guess? I suppose it may be good from your perspective. I'm not sure what you're trying to imply by that. Ugh. Princess Luciana slaps her hands together. Enough playing around. It's time for serious, Luciana. I have no idea what that was, but considering that neither Princess Marianne nor Takamaru seem to be concerned in any way, maybe this is a common thing with her? So, my trip here has to do with my father's ongoing desire to unite our two countries. Princess Marianne immediately turns to her usual scowling expression. He's not trying to pass your older brother off onto me again, is he? Because if he is... Oh no, that's not it. She shakes her head. Giancarlo was married off a few months ago to a noblewoman from Corsato, so I don't think you'll have to worry about him anymore. Really? Yes, there's a proper ceremony and everything. And somehow you neglected to mention this in your letters? Now why would I purposely mention my brother, who I know you can't stand and was supposed to be pleasant correspondence? Fair point. And my condolences go to whatever unfortunate woman it was who ended up stuck with that cad as her husband. Actually, from what I've been told, she's actually quite happy with him. Somehow I find that difficult to believe. Princess Luciana simply shrugs. But now that Giancarlo is no longer an option, father's next plan was to offer my hand in marriage to your father. What? She slams her hands on the table and jumps to her feet. Of all the... What in the world is your father... And Drexy went along with this? Not all of us were lucky enough to be born to parents who allow us to marry whomever we please, you know. And even if father was the type to recognize a female heir to the throne, I'd be 7th in the line of succession. I don't exactly have much pull. As it is, the best I can hope for is that he marries me off to someone who I'd actually like. Princess Marianne scowls at her. And that someone who you'd actually like is my father. Well, I have to say that one could do a lot worse than him. And though I don't happen to share my mother's preferences towards older men... Why is she winking at me? Your father has plenty of rugged charm about him, and it'd be a lie to say that I didn't find him to be quite the catch. So you want to marry my father? Princess Marianne does not look pleased. But then I'd be your new mother. Come on, don't you think that would be just lovely? This isn't funny. She hits the table again, and I think the wood actually cracks a little from that one. Please calm down, Marianne. My father was just thinking that since your father never remarried after your mother passed away, and the only heir that he'd ever have is you, a female. So he offered you up as a way to bruise some male heirs to the throne? Yes, that was his reasoning. But alas, despite the fact that I am a beautiful young maiden of noble birth and tremendous intellect, your father still cruelly turned me down without so much as a second thought. He did? Yep. He said, and I quote, she closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, tell old Celestino that I will only ever have one wife, and I will only ever have one daughter. I don't need any other heirs, since Marianne will make a fine ruler when her time comes. He actually said that? Almost like her legs just gave way underneath her. Princess Marianne falls back into her seat. It was in a much deeper voice, but yes. Your father really is fond of you, Marianne. And to tell the truth, I'm more than a little bit jealous. Damn it. She takes a sip of tea. But anyways, that's how our meeting ended. Though her friends returned to her usual cheery self, Princess Marianne is now glowering something fierce. So, Luciana, she takes her friend by the hand. Why in the world did you word that entire story of yours in a manner that would cause me to assume the worst? Well, it's always fun to tease boys. An overly serious person like you gives the absolute best reactions. Mr. Reynold, isn't she just wonderful? With beautiful hand-crushing friendship between princesses. I don't even know what to say. She's certainly the most wonderful princess I have ever had the honor of guarding. For that, I fully expect to be the next target of Princess Marianne's terrible wrath, but all she does in response to my comment is place a hand over her face and sigh deeply. And then Princess Luciana hugs her. I forgot how exhausting you can be, Luciana. But that's why you love me. I really wonder about that sometimes. So, do you think your father will take the news of your failure poorly? He was completely expecting that I'd be turned down. But there's no harm in trying, so he sent me here anyway. So he already knew. Let's not forget that my father has known yours since he was a baby, and as a result knows him just as well as I know you. Ugh. Also, he had a plan B in the event of my probable failure. Oh? That's right. You see, Emilio's birthday is coming up, and Father told me to personally invite all of you. And naturally, this is another ploy to set the two of you up. Of course it is. At least she doesn't seem to be as annoyed as when that Giancarlo guy was mentioned. But you will come anyways, won't you? It'd be nice to have you visit me for a change. And here come the puppy dog eyes that she used on Montague. You know how much I abhor formal events. I suppose it would be nice to get to spend some more time with you. Oh, Marianne, you simply are the best. And once again, Princess Marianne finds herself hugged. You were so incredibly exhausting. While the princesses go on about what books they've been reading, what pastry is worthy of being called the king of pastries, and other such idle chatter, I keep out of their conversation and stand guard. And since this room looks to be every bit as secure as it was the first time I was here, I don't exactly have much to do in that regard. Takamaru, was it? Yes, that is my name. Unlike his charge, he doesn't seem to be much of a talker. So, how long have you been Princess Luciana's bodyguard? 2 months. I have 4 more left before my shift ends here. Shift here ends, and I am transferred to another position. And you? I actually just started here a couple of days ago. I see. So you still have a full 6 months left. Eh? Wait a minute. No, I'm pretty sure that my post is a permanent one. Assuming that I don't end up screwing up somehow, I mean. So this country does not have the same policies regarding such things as Marcinetti? I see. He nods his head like what I said is some kind of vitally important information to know. Well, Princess Luciana is somewhat vexing at times. Mine is a comfortable post. You are lucky that you will not have to give up yours. Definitely. My living arrangements are better than I could have ever dreamed of. That alone is enough to be grateful for. So, do you have any hobbies? I am the master of awkward small talk. Back in my home country of Tenryou, I would pass the time fishing. It is quite relaxing. I see. Fishing, huh? I'm having a hard time imagining how someone could actually enjoy doing that. But that's probably because I grew up in a town filled with miserable, broken-down old fishermen. Unfortunately, it's been a long time since I last had the opportunity to do so. What about you? Do you have any hobbies? I do a bit of sketching now and then. His expression doesn't say any more about his actual opinion of my response than his words did. What? It's already this late? The setting sun is what finally draws Princess Marianne's attention away from her conversation. I guess we have been talking for a while now. She glances out the window and lets out a little sigh. But you know the saying, time flies when you're having fun. Unfortunately. With a little grunt, Princess Marianne rises from the table. Sorry, but think I'll be calling it a night. I have some reading to finish up before I go to bed, and I'm already behind as it is. Aw, you're the same old stick in the mud as ever. But that's one of the reasons I love you so. Yes, of course. And then she hurries over to me for some reason. I really hope it's not for a hug. Mr. Reinhold? Yes? I expect you to take good care of my Marianne, understand? I just wouldn't be able to live with myself if you were to grow careless and something horrible happened to her as a result of your lax guard. Such as a bird pooping on her head. Now, that is an interesting mental image. I can't imagine that any bird would be brave enough or stupid enough to think of doing something like that to her. I suppose that you make a good point there. She is quite the scary one, after all. Ahem. That glare is more than enough to notice that she's growing impatient. I'll see you tomorrow, Luciana. Goodbye, Princess Luciana. You too, Takamaru. Bye-bye. It isn't until we reach her room that the princess decides to speak up. I suppose you did well not to completely fall into Luciana's pace today. Most people fare a lot worse when first meeting her. I can definitely believe that. Just try not to make much of anything that she says to heart. Toying with people happens to be a hobby of hers. I'll keep that in mind. Anyways, that will be all for tonight. You're dismissed. With that, the princess retreats into her room. Guess I'll go get something to eat. Huh. So Nicolette and Sylvie haven't gone inside the kitchen yet. I can't believe that asshole. And they're arguing about something? To think that he'd actually have the nerve to try and put the moves on you in front of... Ugh. She throws her hands in the air. I swear to God, that man has no fucking shame. Really, it wasn't as bad as you're thinking. You got the message that I wasn't interested pretty quickly. That ain't the point, damn it. It's about respect, and you think that even he would... Nicolette cuts off the second she notices me approaching. Oh, hey Reynold. How's it been? Pretty alright. I can't help but wonder who exactly were you two talking to about just now, though. She's not gonna get out of this so easily. Ugh. What do you think? Nicolette grits her teeth. That border guard asshole decided to set his sights on Sylvie after what happened at the castle gate with Luciana. What? Wow. Considering how close she is to Nicolette, you'd think that he'd know better than that. And right in front of her father, too. I mean, who the hell even does that? That moron's lucky he didn't end up getting stomped into the ground right then and there. Really, Nicolette, you need to calm down. Sylvie places a hand on her shoulder. It's just, a guy who I fucking hate decided to hit on my best friend. I think I'm justified to be a little bit pissed off, you know? After letting out a long, exasperated groan, Nicolette turns towards the kitchen. Well, that's enough of my griping for one night. Let's get some food. Finally. Shortly after we take our seats, Margot pulls the dining cart up to our table. Oop, so we don't have to wait today? Nope, I was actually ready for all three of you for a change. With a warm smile, Margot takes the bowls that were loaded on the cart and places them onto the table in front of us. Today's menu is cream stew. Meat and vegetables that look to have been boiled in some sort of sauce. I've never had this before, but it definitely smells good. It looks delicious. Thanks, Margot. Anytime. Taking the cart with her, she hurries back into the room and leads us to our food. Hey, Nicolette. She's completely focused on her bowl of stew. Not that I can blame her. How about that sketch you owe me? The second those words leave my mouth, Sylvie begins coughing uncontrollably. Rachel! That's the... After choking on the rest of her water, Sylvie turns to me with a very angry look on her face. That's not something to be talking about at the dinner table. You even made me choke on my food. Come on, Sylvie. You know Reinhold isn't that kind of guy. Unlike certain people. One guess who she's talking about there. Yeah. I don't know what kind of thing you're imagining, but... Well, excuse me then. Blushing furiously, Sylvie returns to her food. Anyways, I'm down to get this stupid thing over with whenever you are. Aside from tonight, anyways. But anytime after that, just tell me and I can try and clear out some time for you. I'm kinda shocked at how cooperative you're being about all this. Yeah, well, it's not like I can skip out on a lost bet. And you better not try to either. I know. Damn it, I almost forgot about that. So, did you have a specific time in mind? I think it over for a few seconds. How does tomorrow night sound? Alright, that works. I guess I'll meet you down here by the kitchen like usual, and then we can move on from there. Great, so we're set. With nothing else distracting me from my meal, I pick up my spoon and dig deep into the bowl of cream stew that Margot brought out here for me. The thick sauce serves to pull together the individual flavors of the stewed meat and vegetables, and it's just absolutely delicious. I'm actually tempted to ask for seconds. But since this stuff is super filling as it is, I've restrained my inner glutton and make do with what I've been given. After scraping every last bit of sauce from my bowl, I glance over at my friends. And of course, they've been done eating for a while. I've been outdone yet again. Time to leave? Ask Sylvie about magic lessons. No, let's just up and leave. Nothing more important to talk to at all. Yeah, no. Let me ask about magic lessons. That's a big one. Might as well ask her now before she leaves. Hey, Sylvie. About the favor I asked you the other night. Oh, the magic lessons? Yeah, that. I can totally understand if it turns out to be more trouble than you were expecting, but... What? It's no trouble at all. Sylvie vigorously shakes her head, causing her long braids to flop from side to side. I mean, it is true that I found the idea kind of overwhelming at first, but then I thought it over for a while when I got home last night, and now I'm actually looking forward to it. Huh. Really? Because I am imposing on her free time and all. Uh-huh. She nods her head. I even checked out a bunch of books from the castle library to help me figure out a good point to start with. And both Gerhard and my father helped out too. The level of cheerfulness that she's showing right now is definitely easing some of the guilt I was feeling about bugging her with this. Wow, Sibley, you seem awfully excited all of a sudden. Grinning from ear to ear, Nicolette leans in close to her best friend, acting as a private tutor for a good-looking guy. I bet the mere idea of it setting your maidenly heart all aflutter. With her face completely flushed, Sylvie pushes Nicolette away so hard that she's almost knocked out of her seat. It isn't like that. Surprisingly, her face returns to its original color pretty quickly. I'm just excited to finally talk about magic with someone my own age, that's all. Especially since a certain best friend of mine always starts complaining whenever I bring it up. She glares at Nicolette. Yeah, whatever. I get enough of that from my mom as it is. I don't need it from you, too. You know. Sadly, they kept on at it for a good while longer. Well, I'm gonna call it a night here. See you two tomorrow. Good night. I should probably do the same. Nicolette gets up from her seat. I really hope tomorrow turns out better than the past 2 days have been. You're not the only one who's hoping for that. For real. I don't think I could take it if Montague tried to pull this shit 3 days in a row. After saying goodbye to Nicolette and Sylvie, I make a beeline for my room. Though there's still enough time in the day to fit something else in, I think I've had enough excitement for one day. No arrogant border guard captains, no mischievous princesses. I just want to sit back and relax. I still have a bunch of copying left to do, and I am in kind of a drawing mood. Yeah, that might do the trick. Heading over to my desk, I bring out the map I borrowed from Gerhard and begin the delicate process of unfolding it to its full size. After picking out an area that I have yet to cover, I take a seat and get to work. I guess this counts as drawing practice too. After about an hour of drawing, my eyelids start to feel heavy. Guess it's time to call it quits. And it's a bit of a struggle to get the map folded back up correctly, but soon enough I put everything away and stumble over to my bed, where I promptly lose consciousness. And that'll be it for today. That's actually a really good timing for it. Marriage, llamas, and sword dueling too. But yeah, it's about the llamas. They're kind of and behemoths. Since there's no horses or cows or oxen or any of that, any hoofed creature, they need other alternatives to get the same thing. And so llamas became a main stock animal, as well as behemoths, which are a lesser dragon, basically just a small dragonoid. Not an actual dragon, which is a very specific point later on, because dragons are sentient. These ones are just animals. It makes sense, but that's what it is. So it's also fascinating coming up with alternatives to the just things you've taken for granted. Oh yeah, just ride around on a horse. We don't have any horses. What do we have to ride? Llamas. That's all we got. We have llamas. So now I'm just picturing an entire army riding llamas in a battle. Anywho, that'll be it for today. Anyway, so see you guys later. Have fun. Hope you guys enjoyed all that jazz. And tomorrow will be Danganronpa again. We'll pick up from where we left off over there. Speaking of, I gotta do a bit more grinding for that. Anyway,